Hello classmates, my name is Dana Parsley and I'm here today to demonstrate how to hem a dress using a sewing machine. There are four main steps whenever it comes to hemming a dress, and they are: you first must cut your dress, prep your sewing machine, thread the needle, and then you begin sewing. To me, there is nothing worse than finding the perfect dress, and when you try it on, the dress is way too long. The average model is almost 6 foot tall, and I'm barely 5. So any dress that I find, especially these maxi dresses, are always too long. But hemming a dress isn't as difficult as most people think. You simply cut the dress to your desired length, prep your sewing machine, thread your needle, and you are ready to begin sewing. The first step, as I was telling you, is you cut your dress to the desired length. This is the most time-consuming part, so I have went ahead and done this before I started the video. I will show you. This is how much I had to cut off of my dress. Probably 6 to 8 inches. Whenever you're cutting your dress to your desired length, be sure to leave the dress about 1/2 inch longer than you would like it, because you have to create a hemline whenever you're sewing. Like I said, cutting the dress is usually the most time consuming and the most frustrating and the most stressful, because you are afraid you're not going to cut it evenly. But in this next step, we will actually start using the machine. Secondly, you turn on your sewing machine and make sure everything's working properly. It's kind of hard for you to see, but I will try my best to move it. Here you have your thread prepped and ready. You have your bobbin ready under here. This is your needle. I went ahead and threaded the needle because that, like I said, that can be very tedious, but that is your third step, is threading the needle. Once you have all this ready to go, and you have it on the proper length, you are ready to thread the needle. When you thread your needle, you run it through here and you run it down to the needle, and that is where you thread it. And these are the types of bobbins and stuff that you use, the proper needle choice. Always make sure to check your thread guide, because if your thread guide has a kink or any type of a knot, your thread will break right in the middle of hemming your dress. This is in your tension regulator. Make sure there's not a bunch of tension. It needs to stay loose. Like I said, once again, that way your thread does not break while your needle is running through your dress. And you have a foot pedal in the floor, and that is what runs the machine. You need to make a few test runs with it and make sure your thread and needle is working properly. Like I said, I went ahead and done this because this hemming a dress takes much longer than just 6 to 8 minutes. So I wanted to go ahead and get everything prepped. That way I could show y'all the actual sewing part. After you've inspected your machine and everything's ready to go and running properly, you are ready to pick your needle and thread. And I chose the darkest color I had of thread, and that was black. This is a dark gray dress, so I chose black. That way hopefully it won't, you can kindly see the thread, but it's not too dark and not too bright. I think it'll blend okay. You don't want just a random color. You want it to kind of match what you're sewing. And the third step would be to thread your needle. After you check, just make sure your thread color choice, like I said, blends well. After you get your needle threaded, you are ready to begin sewing. This right here, I know it's hard for you to see, but this adjusts your needle. You can see my needle moving up and down. It is down and ready to sew. So I will begin making a few runs and letting you see the process and the movement of how to hem a dress. Like I said, you fold your length over about 1/2 inch, that 1/2 inch that you left. This is where you fold it over, and you begin sewing the bottom. And you sew all along the bottom of your dress. And we're just going to do a short run. Now I am back to where I started. The the beginning meets the end. I have sewed all, as you can see, I've sewed all around the dress. Now you are ready to do what they call the back stitch. The back stitch is very, very important, because if you don't make a back stitch and the thread doesn't meet properly and sew together, when you're wearing it, or especially whenever you're washing it, it will become unthreaded and you will have a ball of a mess of thread in your washing machine. It is a disaster whenever this happens. So the back stitch is very, very important. So whenever you're making a back stitch, you make a few extra, and then you pull this lever, hit your foot pedal, and it back stitches into your dress. Just like that. Like I said, that they meet together, and after you make your back stitch, you can cut your excess thread. You lift your lever. Always make sure that your needle is not still in your dress. It will make an awful cut, and you bring your dress up here and you make your cut. You cut your excess thread, and I will show you the finished product. And this is the top of the dress. And here we have the bottom. And this is how you hem a dress. See, it's really not that hard. Anybody can do it, it just takes practice. My purpose was to show you the basic steps needed to hem a dress. The first few times the steps, like I said, it can be overwhelming, very frustrating, very, very time consuming. But once you get the hang of it, it's really no problem. The most stressful part for me is, like I said, cutting the dress at the very beginning. Once you learn your sewing machine and how each part operates, you will work faster. Always remember to make a back stitch so your thread holds properly. And remember, practice makes perfect. It will also save you a lot of money because you're not having to pay someone else to do it. Thank you.